Okay, the tale of a sale. How does a driveway access or battle axe change the value of buying or selling a property? Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Joshua Wapashota, hello.
Navakov, how are you?
Top of the morning, top of the morning. Congratulations on your sale of Arthur Street. What a
Thank
uh,
you.
what a what a roller coaster.
Oh yes, it sure was. It was a beautiful property and an honour to sell. But yeah, it took our time getting that right buyer at that right price for the vendors. So yeah, it was definitely an experience, but one I definitely wouldn't take back. It was a great little journey over at Arthur Street.
Yeah, guys, this is a live show, so if you've got any questions for us along the way, ask us. Or if you want us to cover any topics in future, ask us. Um, with this property here, Josh, from the outside, it would have looked like a silky smooth sale, like people would have seen, signboard go up, ad go in, beautiful photos, sold. But it wasn't. What happened?
Well, at first, just to give you some background on the property, these owners actually bought this back in, I think it was 95, 96. It was just a piece of land. Yeah, just a piece of land back then. I think they bought it
Wow.
for circa, yeah, like 275, $275,000 vacant land. They actually had a little a fish, an old shed out the back that they lived in while they built the house, and they've been living there ever since. So it was great to be able to sell a property first time offered to the market. They'd been here, locals, born and bred, sisters, family. The whole idea was kids are now grown up. They're now having kids. They live up towards the Central Coast, so they thought it was time for them to look to downsize a little bit, but also just move closer to the grandkids and be able to spend a bit more time with them. So ended up being something where the husband was ready to sell, the wife quite wasn't. We took our time slowly at the start, and then as we, sort of realized, guys, we're selling. We started to ramp things up and push with realestate.com, open homes, and then it all really started from there. We had Saturday, Sunday opens, Wednesday opens. We're getting really good at numbers at the start. Price expectation was a bit on the higher side for what had been selling around the area.
Yeah.
But I felt like after we've got so much buyer feedback, the owners sort of saw where they sat in the market. And then it was just about finding that right buyer with the right terms and that sort of price level that they were happy with.
That's lovely real estate performance going from 275 building a house and then going up to 3 million. What would it have cost back then to build a house like that, I wonder?
I think we were speaking about it was like, I think it was around the 100,000 or even below figure that they built it. He was an old concreter, very hands-on, great guy. Very,
Right.
never stopped maintaining the property, but he had a lot of friends, rebuilt cars, so he would have had a few mates rates in there, but it was a beautiful home. But yeah, the one thing it did have, which was a tricky driveway, quite steep. I'd imagine that we'd have probably an extra 25 buyers bidding if there wasn't such a steep driveway. Obviously, it sort of takes out your older market. It can take out your people that aren't comfortable behind the wheel, because if you went too left or too right, you'd end up scratching the car. It did, but look, the way that I sort of sold that, yes, you've got a tricky driveway, but hey, you're going up and down your driveway once or twice a day. What that property did have was it was very elevated, so it had beautiful, like a passage view through to Longreef headland. So you got some beautiful ocean views, and then it opened up towards the north, up towards Baha Temple. So it sort of sold the idea, guys. You're driving up and down the driveway once or twice a day, but you're looking at this view for hours on end, and it's something quite magical. They had a little swing up on the deck, so You looked out to the ocean. You had the sun hitting you from the north, sitting out on your little swing. You know, it was a property that you fell in love with. But I'm very happy for the owners there. Yeah.
And people got to consider that. People got to consider that hilly means harder access in your driveway generally means amazing views. So it's a pretty cool compromise, I reckon, to have these beautiful, beautiful views. And also, don't forget, it all often means privacy, because when you've got that sort of topography, your houses aren't sort of eyeball to eyeball 5 meters off your living room or off your kitchen or off your bedroom. They fall away. So, I'd like everyone to think about, if you want to save money, if you can buy something with obviously a little bit more harder access in terms of a driveway, which just means, like you said, a 1 minute drive. That, you know what happens? My sister had this driveway in Manlyvale. It was a bit more dramatic. So if you didn't actually take the 90-degree turn correct, you would be a 2-story fall, and there was no gutter.
Wow.
So it wasn't like you're going to hit the gutter and then you go, oh, and then you correct your car. It's like you're going to hit your car and one wheel's going to your one wheel's going to fall off the driveway, basically. She became like a ninja on that driveway, and I think that with these harder access driveways, you shrug it off after probably a couple of months. You just shrug it off your shoulders and think, look, it's never anything. But you're saving a lot of money, and you're getting some privacy generally, and you're getting some views generally. It is worth it, I reckon, if you get harder access.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, still in regards to that result, I think we're on the opposite beach side of Pittwater Road, guys. If you're wondering where Arthur Street is, it's up behind the new Hamptons development. So if you're taking that road up towards Narrowena Shops, it's just up there. But last sale in the street down there was only a couple of months before, around that 2.7 mark, and we were able to achieve a result above the 3 mil. So fantastic result for the street. And if we compare it to a listing that was online on the beach side of Pittwater Road, which was a Battle Axe site, similar sort of driveway scenario. We had seen that with another agency where they'd lowered the guide and actually come to a point where they've withdrawn the property from the market. So you definitely start to see that access play a part into your campaign. And I really think it's important about what dialogue you're using with the buyers to help them focus on the positives, like we said, privacy, views, sun. Focus on those benefits of what you're getting from that tricky access or that perched up property. And that's the sort of dialogue that I use with those buyers that came in and end up making an offer on the property. But fantastic result, I think, for the buyer and the vendor. It was also a property within the low to mid density changes. Again, with that hilly aspect, it was quite rocky, so it'd be tricky to excavate. But who knows what happens in the next 10 years with that LMI zone, whether it increases even further, which will allow someone to sort of take on that cost of leveling out the site. But definitely driveways access, just like we're seeing with units, definitely a big point of any campaign for any property transaction.
Do you find vendors, sellers find it hard to come to grips with adjusting their price because of like hills or driveways or stuff like that? And how
Definitely
much price would you generally have to discount for that?
Well, generally, you're definitely right, Mark, because in the vendor's eyes, they're exactly what you said before. They've been doing it a couple of months. All of a sudden, they've got the confidence. Like, for example, these vendors had a little small Corolla and then a massive Land Cruiser. And every time I'd seen them go up, he's zip straight up like he was parking in a level street with 3 spots either side. So yes, it is difficult for them to sort of come to terms on that because they do it every day and they do it with ease. But what I've got to what we ended up having to do is I said, look, if you're comparing to someone that's used to doing the, you know, traditional driveway off the street, you park in your garage, moving to something like this, it is a big difference. So I think it's just about putting your vendors in the shoes of the buyers and how they perceive these driveways and you know, what are the changes they're coming from. I think that's part of that process there. In terms of price, look, I still think you're going to get an attractive price for the property. I think it's going to be a scenario where you're probably a little bit longer on market, which we did see with this property, like over that sort of 2-month period, waiting for the right buyer with the right budget. So I think the only thing your access and driveway sort of will take away from a sale is probably the competitiveness. So having more power as a vendor with multiple buyers and sort of that competitiveness at the end where you've got buyers jumping over the top of each other in terms of price and offer making. That would be my assumption on that scenario, Mark.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thank you
nice.
for the tale of sale. I hope you enjoyed me going through the car wash, everyone.
Yes.
I don't know why I love it. I don't know why I love a car wash.
Something nostalgic about a car wash, isn't there?
Something so cool about it. You're just so happy when you get your car washed. All right. Have a lovely day, Josh. Congratulations on Arthur Street sale. And
Thank you.
And everyone, if you're thinking of selling hard access or on a slope, talk to us. We're the experts of understanding it. And if you're thinking of buying it, you're getting some really good features, benefits, and discounts.
Definitely. Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Mr. Josh. Thanks, everyone. Bye.